Welcome everyone to Sudbury Talks with Gwen Price. And for the month of March, celebrating Women's History Month, I've been recording women in business, local businesses here in Sudbury. And I'm very happy to have with me today, not only a friend, but also a co-host of Aging in Action, and Lisette Wirta. Hi, Lisette.
Hi, Gwen. How are you doing?
I'm good. This is a little different for us, but
I know.
I thought, why not celebrate you as an entrepreneur here in Sudbury? You've been in business for a while, and you're the owner of Home Instead Senior Care, correct? If I got the right name?
Yes, but they've changed the name now. It's just Home Instead because our catchment group is don't have age barriers anymore. So, right, you don't have to be old to need help nowadays. So.
No, that's very true, because home care, it means a lot of things. It's not, you're right, it's not just seniors. Somebody could have been injured and you're providing home care. And when did you get started, and why did you get started in this business?
So that is many years ago now. Actually, it's been 13 years. I opened Home Instead in Sudbury in 2009 and have grown from there. So, a little bit of background, and I don't like to dwell on the past, but, so what moved me in this direction, because, home care is something I had never actually really thought about, right? Who thinks about that until you need it? And until, in 2007, actually, my husband had a motor vehicle accident. So a snowmobile accident, actually, for people here in the North. He's fine now. I like to throw that out there right away. But back then it was pretty severe. So, he was immobile. It took a year before he could walk again. Wow. So it was very, very challenging. And, what you learn back then is that, home care was not something that was available in Sudbury. Like, there was home care companies, don't get me wrong. And they were, the ones that were there were doing a great job. But they were more focused on doing government work, right? Like, that was kind of the norm back then. You were discharged from the hospital and the government would give you a certain amount of home care. And, that would help you out at home. So the problem we were running into is that my husband was younger. He was only in his 30s when this happened, right? So automatically you don't qualify for the senior services department. So what I was looking for, because I was trying to work and juggle having a husband who could no longer move, and high school and teenage college children, so it was a really dynamic time of my life. So what I was looking for was to hire privately a home care company to come in and take care of my husband during the day while I was at work. And in my mind, I thought that was kind of really a simple thing, right? I just wanted to hire somebody. Anyhow, that wasn't really available for us in the North 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, a Home Instead in Sudbury didn't exist. I mean, besides the government contract providers, there wasn't really anything else out there. So I just felt that was really frustrating, because what ended up happening is I ended up having to make that crucial decision of quitting my job and staying home. Right. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, the problem I had with that is that I felt that I didn't have the choice, right? Because I couldn't do both. I think, you know what I mean? So, I mean, like I said, I don't regret doing it at all. I just wish I would have had the option, right? So that to me was like something that was really frustrating. As a woman, as an independent person, I'm sure you understand that, we like to have our own choices, right? So I started investigating, because I had nothing else to do at home, right? I started investigating what is home care, like, why doesn't Sudbury have a large supply of that available? Because I had to imagine that I wasn't the only person in Northern Ontario that was like that could have used this, whether it was one day a week or 7 days a week, right?
Yeah.
Or even a few hours a week. So I started researching home care companies around Canada, North America. And actually, as my husband got better, I actually went around throughout Ontario and visited a few different home care companies in larger cities to see what it was all about. And, finally made my decision to buy a home instead franchise and open it
Okay.
here in Sudbury.
Hmm.
Because I honestly felt that, not just women, people in Sudbury and Northern
Yeah.
Ontario should have the ability to choose, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's how that all started.
And now, I mean, you've grown and got bigger. Like, are you in more than one location now, or are you still strictly Sudbury? Or
So we've kind of like encompassed most of the north. We service from Sault Ste. Marie, Elliott Lake, Blind River, Sudbury, Sturgeon, North Bay. And 2 years ago, we also purchased the Barrie area. So we actually own everything north of Barrie.
okay. Yeah.
Excluding Timmins.
Yeah.
We don't service Timmins. So yeah, so we've really grown. We probably have over close to 300 employees.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so we love it because we help people age in place, right? Whether you're young,
Wow.
whether
Yeah.
you're old, whether you want to go on vacation this summer for a couple of weeks, but you don't really want to go because you can't leave mom alone for 2 weeks. Who's going to buy her food? Who's going to check on her every day? So we just give people the freedom to live, right?
Yeah.
Either way.
Well, and it's certainly over the years that you've owned it, things are changing in the home care industry, and there's more demand than ever, partly because of the aging demographic, but just also people want to be in their homes. They don't want to be institutionalized in any way possible. They want to be in their home. So that's what home care helps somebody stay in their home and live a quality of life still.
Right. Because to remain independent, I mean, you might only need, say 5-10 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
To stay in your home, right? And I mean, if you hire a company like ours to help you with some housekeeping and all your doctor's appointments, you don't have to drive in the winter, right? If you choose to keep your car, like I know my own mother, she's went years where I didn't drive her car in the winter. Only in the summer, right? Which makes sense when you're in your late 70s. To her, that she just didn't like driving in the winter. So in the winter, she had a service bring her to all her appointments, help her, walk over those snowbanks. I mean, we all know how it is, right?
Northern Ontario.
Right. And if you take a taxi and you get dropped off right at the door, there's still like, you got to cross that sidewalk. I know it sounds really silly, but I mean, sometimes that's a game changer. Or trying to take a bus. I mean, I'm not a big bus person. I haven't had to take the bus very often, but I mean, it's not every 15 minutes to take a bus anywhere you want to go, right? So there's a lot of planning that needs to get done in Northern Ontario, and actually some areas we serve don't have a bus system.
Yeah. No,
so just, instead of giving up your whole world of a house that you love and it's easier to hire somebody to cut your grass, and not us, because we don't do that, and a snowplow company, and then you hire somebody to bring you grocery shopping.
Well, even though I'm a realtor and my goal is to sell houses, but I'm also a taxpayer, and I still believe that it's much more cost effective to keep somebody in their home than to institutionalize, and we all pay somewhere down the line for that. Like now your husband is involved in the business with you, and that's a good thing. Probably on most days, right? Like my house.
But no, he retired from his career about 4 years ago now. So he actually works in the home instead full time with us. Thank God, because he does all the IT department, which is one of my biggest
venting about. No glitches at all here.
I know, that's the biggest challenge, in my mind, turning you turn the computer on, you just want it to work, right?
Well, and we're all in our businesses are so dependent on it, right? We can't do anything. It's either our phone or a computer or whatever. So that's a big part of it. Like, have you seen improvements in the home care industry as you've been progressing through the years? And what do you think we still need?
Oh, well, I've, over the past 14 years, yeah, there's been a lot of change, a lot of growth, in the sense that, when I started this way back when, and talk about home care, people were like, well, what is that? Right. Because like, you know what, in all fairness, like I said, unless you need it, you don't really know what that is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people had, you know what I mean, a misconception where home care and healthcare was the same thing. And it's not the same thing, right? Like, yes, your doctor's appointments are paid for. When you go to the hospital, it's paid for. But ultimately, as you're aging, there's a lot of things that are not paid for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, you know what I mean? I've had many conversations with a lot of, older people, including my own mother. And I mean, it sounds really silly, but years ago, my mother honestly thought that a retirement home was free. She could just pick the one she wanted. And that's where she was going to go. But she just, right. Because it was never something you talked about.
Yeah.
It was just assumed, oh, that's a retirement home. That's the same as a long-term care, which is the same as the hospital, and the government pays for that. Right. So there's a lot of education needed in the past. And I think that's the biggest thing that I felt that we've done in the past years is educate people. Right. I'm not saying that home care is the right fit for everybody, but my goal, every day is to make sure that people know, and then they can make their own choices, right?
Yeah,
that's what it all comes back to me, is I'm such a big believer that everybody should get to choose their own path, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, we both know there's a lot of coercion sometimes to get people to move on to the next level so somebody else can look after them, right? But again, I think it's much healthier, if at all possible, for people to stay in their home, and have the support there. So I think it's great, and the demand is always increasing, it seems, right? It just seems, I mean, the baby boom generation and all of that, we're all sort of faced with those things, with what's going to happen when I need some help and who's going to be there, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, it's like years ago, people always, back to the senior population that I love chit-chatting with, is that, they were brought up that it was just, you lived in your home to a certain stage till you can't anymore, I think is the most common word used. And then you get placed. Right. So that generation honestly thought like that was just a natural progression. Right. But the baby boomers, like people our age and stuff like that, were like, no, I don't think that works for me.
They're not going to shove me in that hole.
Who has decided that that's the norm? I mean, I haven't worked my whole life and then, bought my home and paid my home to end up ultimately saying, okay, I'm at that number now. And now I give up my home. Like who made that rule? Well, you know what I mean? So a lot of times the generation today are like, what are my choices? And then if you give them choices and they're like, that doesn't work for me. I want more choices. Right.
Well, and sometimes it doesn't take a lot to keep somebody in their home, because sometimes they just can't do the maintenance stuff, or they need help cleaning around the house or something like that. So sometimes it's minimal, sometimes it's a lot more. Maybe they are, physically can't do bathing or whatever, but it's nice to know that there's more choice, absolutely more choice, because I'm going to be kicking and screaming all the way to whatever, but I want to stay, in my home as long as possible. So I want to know what's available to me to keep me, safe and happy.
Right. And planning for the future too. Like one of the biggest learnings what my husband and I did is we had just just prior to his accident, we had renovated our washroom, and we were so proud of this new like, you know, our
Yeah.
main washroom being renovated. And then he had his accident. And, you know, this is one of the things that I share a lot with with people, is that our bathroom door was only 28 inches wide and his wheelchair wouldn't fit. So I had
Yep.
to carry him on my back to the washroom.
Jeez.
So my biggest, you know,
Yeah.
is when you're renovating now at our age, right? Because
Yeah.
right now you
Think
don't
about it.
need, make sure your bathroom door is wide enough for a wheelchair.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
with our problem is we had installed this nice little heated floor system, and
Oh, yeah.
the gauge was right by the door.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it wasn't as simple as just cutting the door larger. It was
Yeah.
it was a huge
Yeah.
undertaking.
No, you're
To-
right.
right.
Yeah.
And but those are things you don't think about, right?
No.
And then
Yeah.
the shower stall, when you're redoing your shower stall, to make sure that the back behind where nobody sees, you got some good 2x4 anchors back
Yes.
there. So
Yeah.
when the day comes and you want to drill those bars
Yeah.
into your wall in your home, then it's like, you know, for less than $50, you go to Canadian Tire or wherever you buy those bars, and you screw them in, versus now you know, you have to hire a company to come and redo your bathroom at that age, right?
Yeah. Well, it's
So those
smart.
are things that,
Yeah. Yeah. It's smart for everybody. There's safety. We always assume all those things are for seniors, but a lot of us could use a little bit of help along the way. Doesn't matter our age, right?
right,
I mean,
right.
those deep, I love those deep soaker tubs, but they're help get in and out of them, really, you know, and I'm not quite at that stage where it's you know, really like I'm needing help to get out of my bathtub, but you know, it's a lot of things don't make sense, and you're right, you need to kind of think about the whole picture, and you know, why not do it if you're going to renovate? Why not put that infrastructure in there?
Right, right. It's easier to do it while you're doing it. And then another thing is, you know, getting your laundry room on the main floor.
Yeah.
Right. Like mine right now is in the basement, which is
Yeah.
fine. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know where it's going to go when that day comes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Same
You know,
here.
I've had many clients, you know, hire us because they've fallen down the stairs with a laundry basket in their hand. Like that, I think
Yeah.
is probably one of the most dangerous things to do, right? Is
Yeah.
carrying that laundry basket
Yeah.
down the stairs.
Well, because your visibility's limited, right? You've got this thing in front of you and you're trying to step and you got nothing to hang on to but the laundry basket. So
Right.
yeah, no, all of those things are really important. And I mean, it's wonderful that there is now these choices for people. And so for more information, if they want to find out more about your services, Lisette, what's the best number for people to reach you at?
Our local office number is 705-523-1600.
Okay. And then also you've got a website, and I'll put the link to that too on the post that I put up. So yeah, so this was a little different, but thank you so much. So your last, like I say, you're the last interview for my Women History Month, and I much appreciate it. It was great to chat with you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me, Gwen. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye.